Hey film fans, welcome to CinePro. Your ultimate hub for all movie recaps. From heartwarming classics to the latest blockbusters, the movie kicks off in a dreamy romantic atmosphere where we meet a couple, Patrick and Adeline, enjoying their time together. Everything seems perfect until we spot a shadowy figure watching them from afar. Suddenly, Patrick pulls a charming move by hiding a ring inside a strawberry and popping the question. Overwhelmed with emotion, Adeline says yes without hesitation. But before the moment can truly sink in, Patrick gets a call from his photographer, who complains about missing the shot due to sun flares. He asks Patrick to redo the proposal. Annoyed, Patrick snaps at him, demanding he get it right this time. After hanging up, someone kills the photographer. Patrick re-proposes to Adeline, and once again, she says yes. He immediately calls the photographer to confirm the photos. Just as Adeline reaches for the phone to say something, an arrow pierces straight through Patrick's forehead, killing him instantly. Horrified, Adeline screams and runs, but the killer gives chase. She hides in a bush, trying to stay quiet, but her phone rings. It's Patrick's number. The killer's using it. The sound reveals her location, and in a flash, she's hit in the ankle with another arrow. Wounded, Adeline limps her way to a nearby winery where she encounters a security guard. Desperate, she pleads for his help, but before he can react, the killer strikes again, throwing a knife engraved with a heart symbol, killing the guard on the spot. Terrified, Adeline runs and takes shelter inside a massive metal tank. Everything goes quiet. She cautiously peers outside, only for the killer to suddenly grab her by the neck. In a panic, she slams the tank door shut, forcing him to release her. But it's not over. The killer then activates the tank's compression system. With no way out, Adeline is tragically crushed, her head exploding from the pressure. At last, the killer reveals himself. He's wearing a creepy mask with tiny heart-shaped eyes. The scene cuts to news reports buzzing with the same chilling story. A serial killer on the loose, now dubbed the Heart Eyes Killer. His targets? Couples in love. But he's not picky. He'll eliminate anyone who gets in his way. Authorities warn everyone to stay indoors, especially since it's Valentine's Day. Enter Allie, a young woman sitting in a coffee shop with her best friend Monica. She's stressed. Her boss has just called for an urgent meeting. She's expected to present her big ad campaign, and time is ticking. While grabbing coffee, Allie unexpectedly bumps into a charming stranger. Turns out, they both ordered the exact same drink, one of those quirky coincidences that makes them both blush. A casual chat sparks between them, light and easy, until Allie drops the sugar. As she tries to pick it up, she accidentally elbows the guy in the face, giving him a bloody nose. Mortified, Allie bolts from the cafe in sheer embarrassment. We cut to the next scene, Allie's big meeting at the office. Her boss plays her Valentine's Day campaign, hoping to see something heartwarming. But instead, the ad is shockingly violent, completely tone-deaf considering the ongoing Heart Eyes Killer crisis. It's blowing up online, and not in a good way. The backlash is massive, with people slamming it for being tasteless and insensitive. Furious and needing a fix, Allie's boss introduces a new hire brought in to clean up the mess, Jay Simmons. And surprise, surprise, it's the same guy from the coffee shop. Jay, a rising star in his field, assures the team that they'll work together to fix everything. Meanwhile, back at the winery where Patrick and Adeline were murdered, Detectives Zeke and Janine arrive to examine the crime scene. They find a wedding ring engraved with the initials JS, a detail that doesn't match either of the victims. They also recover the photographer's final shot, a chilling photo showing the Heart Eyes Killer mid-attack. Later, Allie hides in the office bathroom, scrolling through waves of hate on Instagram about her ad campaign. Just then, she hears Jay's voice outside the stall. He wants to talk. She steps out, still hesitant, and Jay tells her he's booked dinner for the two of them tonight to discuss the campaign. Allie tries to say no. It is Valentine's Day, after all. But Jay insists. He has a flight tomorrow morning to attend his best friend's wedding, so it's now or never. That evening, Allie arrives first at the restaurant, dressed to impress. Jay joins her soon after, looking sharp and suave. As the conversation flows, Jay gently asks if she's recently had her heart broken. He says it shows in her work. The comment hits a nerve. Offended, Allie tells him to stay out of her personal life. When that doesn't cool things off, she lashes out, asking why he's still single if he's so good at love. The mood flips instantly. Hurt by her words, Jay ends the dinner and walks out. Leaving Allie stunned. Feeling horrible, she jumps up and runs after him. Allie runs after Jay, apologizing for the scene at dinner. She admits it's just been a really bad day. And before anything else can be said, she leans in and kisses him. Their moment, however, is awkwardly interrupted when a man shows up. Allie's ex-boyfriend. He's there with his new girlfriend celebrating Valentine's Day. Thinking fast, Allie introduces Jay as her new boyfriend. And to her surprise, Jay plays along. The ex looks rattled, especially when he mentions that they were originally supposed to go on a double date that night with another couple. The same couple who were murdered at the winery. Soon after, Allie and Jay hop into the same taxi and head off together, unaware that someone is watching them from the shadows. Someone in a hard-eyes mask. They arrive at Allie's place, and she apologizes again before stepping out. But once she reaches the door, she realizes her keys are missing. Jay, noticing this, tells the driver to keep the meter running and follows her up. He ends up breaking her window to help her get inside, injuring himself in the process. Inside, Allie grabs a first aid kit and gently tends to his wound. But while doing so, she notices a personal item left out on the bed, something she clearly doesn't want Jay to see. She discreetly tries to hide it in the closet. And then, without warning, Heart Eyes bursts in. A fight breaks out between Jay and the killer, who pins Jay to the wall. Just in time, Allie smashes a lamp over the killer's head. Dazed, the attacker stumbles, giving the couple a chance to escape. They bolt out the door and secure it with a belt, then rush back toward the taxi. But before they can reach safety, Heart Eyes shoots the driver in the head. Panicked, Allie tries to reason with the killer, insisting that they're not even a real couple. Jay tries to call 911, but Heart Eyes fires an arrow and destroys his phone. The two sprint into an abandoned botanical garden, hoping to lose him. But the killer catches up, targeting Allie. Jay throws himself into the fight, but the killer quickly overpowers him and knocks him out cold. Allie takes the chance to escape again, and Heart Eyes chases after her. She eventually finds herself at an old amusement park and hides inside a carousel. The killer finds her, turns it on, and cranks the speed. Allie loses her balance and falls. As she scrambles to get up, the killer comes at her with a machete, ready to finish her off. But Allie kicks him hard, knocking him off the carousel. She leaps off too, trying to run. Just as the killer prepares to strike again, flashing red and blue lights flood the area. Multiple police cars arrive. Heart Eyes vanishes into the night. Allie, shaken and breathless, tells one of the officers everything. But her worry quickly turns to Jay. She has no idea what's happened to him. The officer suddenly receives a radio transmission. Heart Eyes has been caught. Relieved, Allie lets out a breath, but things take a strange turn. Moments later, she's approached by Detectives Zeke and Janine, who ask her to explain everything that happened. But then Allie spots something that freezes her in place. Jay is being escorted in handcuffs. Shocked and confused, she insists that Jay isn't Heart Eyes. Zeke, however, tells her Jay is a suspect. They found him with a crossbow and wearing a mask. Worse still, Janine adds that they believe he had an accomplice, meaning Allie herself is now under suspicion too. At the police station, Zeke begins interrogating Jay, presenting him with the wedding ring they found at the vineyard. It's engraved with the initials JS, matching Jay Simmons exactly. Jay denies any connection, but Zeke becomes more aggressive, convinced he's hiding something. Janine steps in, urging her partner to cool down and leave the room. Once alone with Jay, her tone shifts. She flirts subtly, asking about his relationship with Allie and noting how protective he seems of her. Meanwhile, Allie is still at the station, trying to convince another officer that they've got the wrong guy. Her repeated questions begin to irritate him, so he heads off toward the interrogation room, leaving her behind. That's when David, a quirky IT guy, shows up to repair a computer. He thinks Allie looks familiar and awkwardly asks if they matched on Bumble. Allie quickly denies it. David, clearly interested, tries asking her out, but she firmly shuts him down. Soon after, Janine arrives with another officer to speak with Allie. She casually questions Allie's interest in Jay, teasing that he's handsome and successful. Allie is visibly uncomfortable. Suddenly, the entire station is plunged into darkness. The power goes out. Janine decides to investigate while the other officer heads to the supply room in search of a flashlight. But in the shadows, horror strikes. The officer is attacked from behind. Heart Eyes drives a flagpole straight through. Her body as Allie watches in frozen terror. Allie bolts down the hallway and rushes to warn Janine that the real killer is still on the loose. Janine, refusing to run, prepares to confront the attacker as Allie flees. Elsewhere, Zeke hears the chaos and exits the interrogation room, calling out for his partner. No response. Then, out of nowhere, Hard Eyes emerges and drives a machete through Zeke, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, Allie makes it to the interrogation room and sees Jay trapped inside. Jay urges Allie to find Zeke and get the handcuff keys. Fast. He's still locked up, and time is running out. But as soon as Allie leaves, Hard Eyes enters the interrogation room. With no hesitation, the killer swings his machete at Jay repeatedly, but Jay skillfully dodges every strike. Just as the situation turns dire, Allie bursts back into the room with a gun and opens fire. The shots force Hard Eyes to retreat. Without wasting a second, Allie rushes to Jay, unlocks the cuffs, and finally frees him. The two escape the police station and make their way to a nearby drive-in theater, where dozens of couples are watching a movie under the stars. At first, no one notices the masked figure wandering in. Some even think it's just a costume. Then chaos erupts. Hard Eyes kills a random man without warning, and people begin screaming. Allie and Jay dive into a nearby car, only to realize there's already a couple in the back seat, completely high and oblivious to the danger. They try to warn them, but it's too late. Hard Eyes yanks open the car door and brutally forces a large wooden cross into the man's mouth. Then, he grabs the girl and impales her on the same crossbar, killing her instantly. Panic spreads through the drive-in. Allie and Jay make a run for it, the killer chasing them down and slaughtering anyone in his way. Jay urges Allie that they need to run and hide, but she hesitates. Guilt washes over her. "We brought him here," she says. "We have to end this." They quickly grab weapons from the fallen and prepare for a final confrontation. Hard Eyes lunges at them again with his machete, and Jay fights with everything he's got. But once again, the killer proves too strong and overpowers him. Just when it seems like Jay's about to be finished off, Allie appears out of nowhere and slams a propane tank into the killer's head. Staggered but still breathing, Hard Eyes stumbles, until Jay finally grabs the machete and drives it straight through him, bringing the nightmare to an end. Breathing heavily, the two remove the killer's mask, only to find a stranger. They don't recognize him at all. Moments later, the police arrive to collect the body. One officer turns to them and says, "You two are going to be famous for killing Hard Eyes." Later that night, Jay invites Allie back to his hotel room to finally finish the dinner they never got to enjoy. Though Jay invites her to his hotel to finish the dinner date they started, Allie is still visibly shaken by the night's events and politely refuses. Just then, Janine reappears, casually offering Jay a ride home, and to Allie's surprise, he agrees. Later that night, Allie is alone in her apartment, replaying her memories with Jay. She gets a call from her best friend Monica, who's worried about her. Allie explains everything and laments ruining her chance with someone like Jay. Monica encourages her not to give up on a good guy, telling her to go after him before it's too late. Finally convinced, Allie heads straight for the airport. She searches everywhere, but Jay is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, her phone rings. An unknown number. A chilling voice on the other end tells her that Jay is with him, and if she calls the police, Jay dies. Then, in the background, she hears Jay screaming. Terrified, Allie races to the address she was given, a dark, eerie chapel. Inside, she finds Jay tied up and gagged. Hard Eyes is still alive, and when the mask comes off, Allie is stunned to see David, the IT guy from the police station. She immediately asks who they killed at the drive-in, and David calmly explains, "That was Eli. Were they a couple?" "Actually, we're a throuple," David responds. Right on cue, Janine enters. The truth hits like a freight train. Janine is also one of the Hard Eyes, and David's wife. Together, they've turned murder into twisted pleasure, targeting couples in love. Eli? Just a fanboy who wanted in. Janine even reveals she was the one who broke into Allie's house while David killed the taxi driver. That wedding ring they found? It belonged to her. JS stands for Janine Shaw. Allie, stunned, asks why they're targeting her and Jay when they're not even a couple. Janine explains they originally planned to kill another pair, but changed their minds after seeing Allie and Jay's passionate kiss. That was all the trigger they needed. Now, Allie has a choice. Janine places a gun on the table and tells Allie to prove she doesn't love. Tells Allie to prove she doesn't love Jay. There's only one bullet. Allie must either shoot herself or shoot Jay. Tears running down her face, Allie picks up the gun and turns to Jay. She tells him that despite everything, she's fallen for him. Jay begs her not to hurt herself. Suddenly, the bullet hits Jay in the shoulder and ricochets, striking Janine in the stomach. Allie grabs Jay, but David opens fire. He drags Jay away while Janine lunges at Allie, beginning to torture her. David mocks Jay, promising he'll make him watch Allie die. But Jay, playing possum, reaches into David's pocket and pulls out an arrow, then shoves it straight into his eye. Screaming in agony, David stumbles backward into a table full of candles. Hot wax ignites his body, and he burns alive. Enraged, Janine slams Allie to the ground and prepares to finish her off, but Allie fights back. Grabbing her metal straw, she jabs it into Janine's throat. Janine gasps, bleeding, until Allie violently shoves her into a statue. The statue's sword pierces Janine's neck and slowly decapitates her. Silence. Allie crawls over to check on Jay, and finally, it's over. Hard Eyes is gone for good. The scene cuts to 1 year later. Allie and Jay are now a couple, celebrating their anniversary at the same drive-in theater where their nightmare once began. But this time, there's no fear, only love. Then, in a playful twist, Allie pulls out a ring and proposes to Jay. He smiles and says yes, and that's where the movie ends.